Do we have to worry about these winds blowing any more smoke our way?
Well, I think the majority of us will be okay. Now, if you do have some pre-existing breathing problems, you will be the ones that want to watch out for a little bit of the smoke that may be creeping into the metro. But we will be looking at least a somewhat nice afternoon,
Oh, that's
although
good.
it will be on the
Yeah.
dry side. Yesterday, a different story across the eastern part of the state as we were dealing with wicked weather. Take a look at some of these stats from the storm that we saw just north of Tucumcari yesterday. A supercell thunderstorm passed just to the north of Tucumcari yesterday, and radar did indicate a possible tornado. Now, we didn't see any confirmations of anyone spotting a tornado, but at least Doppler was indicating that we had quite a bit of rotation with this thunderstorm. At the very least, we were looking at wind gusts over 60 miles per hour, and we do have confirmation of large hail. In fact, hail the size of baseballs was confirmed with this storm, so it was definitely something not to mess with yesterday. And down to the south of there, we were looking at some blowing dust and some thunderstorm activity in and around the Roswell area as winds were gusting over 50 miles per hour. Visibility was reduced quite a bit, leading to a scene very much like this one that we saw in Roswell and Hagerman. Also seeing quite a bit of dust all throughout the day yesterday as well. Now, the good news is we won't see quite as much of the way in the way of severe storms throughout the afternoon, and they'll be confined mainly to the southeastern part of the state. 87 degrees the current temperature with a west-southwest wind at 10 miles per hour, into the 70s and 80s across the north, and already into the mid-90s from Clayton down to Tucumcari, down into the southeastern part of the state, into the upper 90s, 97 for Roswell and Carlsbad, and even into the low to mid-90s across the southwest as well. Temperatures in the south well on their way to the hundreds once again this afternoon. Winds gusting up to around 23 miles per hour in Taos, 30 in Las Vegas, 33 in Ruidoso, 36 in TRC. So we will be dealing with quite a bit of wind throughout the afternoon. And on top of the heat and the wind, it's going to be dry across much of the state. Relative humidities in the single digits, the exception being the far eastern part of the state once again. But even the relative humidities here are starting to come down. We're looking at some of the highest values across the southeast, and that is where we'll be favored to get a couple of those storms going throughout the afternoon. But again, we're not looking at storms quite on the scale of what we saw yesterday. Mostly clear across the state right now, just a little bit of cloud cover trying to move through the southeastern corner of the state where we do have a little bit more moisture. But otherwise, we are looking at some dangerous fire weather over the next couple of days as drier air continues to punch in across the state. We'll try to get a little bit of moisture in and out of the eastern part of the state, but we will be mainly dry across the state, and we will be looking at those winds boosting up as well, up to a 40-mile-per-hour wind gust in the central part of the state from the southwest up into the northeast. And then we also look at the heat. Temperatures today going to be on the hot side. In fact, we're going to be up to 99 degrees in Roswell, 101 in Carlsbad, into the mid to upper 90s for the metro. So it is definitely not the kind of recipe you want for the fire weather situation across the state. Southern Colorado into the 80s for this afternoon. Lots of sunshine. We have the chance of getting a few more storms in early next week as a little bit more moisture starts to move in. Over the northwest, winds will be gusting up to 35 miles per hour, highs into the 90s, and we stay mainly dry through the weekend and into early next week. Over the southwest, winds gusting to 35 miles per hour here as well, highs in the upper 90s to low hundreds. Socorro all the way up to 104 this afternoon. A chance of a couple spot storms Friday into Saturday, but the thing we'll have to watch out for those is a little bit of dry lightning. Over the southeast, isolated storms possible, highs into the 90s to near 100. A better chance of maybe picking up a little bit of shower activity on Friday, and then we dry out into the end of the weekend and early next week. Over the northeast, winds gust up to 40 miles per hour, highs into the 90s, perhaps a couple of storms Saturday into Sunday. Over the northern mountains, winds gusting to 40 miles per hour. We'll have a chance of picking up a spot storm Saturday, and then once again on Monday as a little bit more moisture tries to move toward the state. Over the east mountains, winds gusting to 45 miles per hour, highs in the low to mid 90s. In the metro, we'll see highs in the mid to upper 90s this afternoon with winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour. Blowing dust will be a concern throughout the day, maybe picking up a spot storm on Saturday, but mainly dry through the next 7 days, and it's going to be hot.
All right, John, thank you for that.